Hello World Wide Web. Today is the third video in a series of videos about interpersonal neurobiology and depression. Most of this information comes from the writings of Daniel Siegel, who's a psychiatrist, author, and psychotherapist. Last week we looked at vertical integration, or the ability to take into the brain the important information of the body, feelings. So this week we will be looking at bilateral integration. In other words, why it's important for the hemispheres of our brain to be working and in balance with one another. So the human brain, like many animals' brains, is divided between left and right hemispheres. These hemispheres have very different functions and purposes, and so much so that some have characterized the hemispheres of the brain as actually two different brains fused together. So in general terms, the left hemisphere of the brain is the seat of logic, rationality, language. The left hemisphere loves yes or no answers to questions and problems, solving problems in a linear fashion. The left hemisphere allows us to make sense of the written word and attempts to organize the world through binary or black and white thinking, yes or no, true or false, right and wrong. So if the left hemisphere loves order and logic, the right hemisphere loves ambiguity and complexity. The right hemisphere organizes the world through imagery and feeling. The right mode also processes the world through a non-binary way. The right hemisphere is more closely linked to our feelings rather than our thoughts, and it's also the storehouse of autobiographical information. So when we communicate with others, the right hemisphere ignores the meaning of words and processes all of the nonverbal cues from others, like posture, eye contact, tone of voice. So the right hemisphere is intuitive rather than logical, like the left hemisphere. So the balance of these two sides is important for obvious reasons. With our left brain's logic and rationality, we can organize the chaotic nature of the world, and we can break things down into small, understandable parts, cause and effect. The science you could think of as the expression of the left hemisphere of processing. If you also think about it, if we're trying to make our dreams a reality, let's say, plan for the long-term future, we have to break that down into day-to-day actions and habits, and the left hemisphere is really good at that. The right hemisphere, we're able to understand the world through our felt sense, right? So the right hemisphere gives the world and our lives meaning and coherence, and it does that through art, through metaphor, and just a general felt sense of life. So many with depression in our culture have an exaggeration of left mode processing, right? That they're caught in logic and in kind of a thought loop. So this will encourage us to be cut off or numb from our feeling state, from our right mode of processing. And our culture really encourages left mode processing. And as a result, many of us have poor relationships or awareness of our feeling states. So in psychotherapy, we work on enhancing the right mode of processing with guided imagery, maybe with some forms of art therapy, and as well as staying just with the sensations in the body without trying to make immediate sense out of those sensations or feelings. So that's going to do it for today. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and stay tuned for the next one.